Hi, hello. Welcome to a masterclass on movement to shift or to change the emotional state that you're in. Movement is incredibly powerful and can actually really bring us into a more regulated state. So that's what this class is for. I'm Angie Barrett. I own AB Yoga. I am a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for almost 20 years. I am a yoga instructor and I am a movement coach. I am also advanced certified to teach trauma informed yoga. And trauma informed yoga is very much about learning how to self regulate, how to navigate your own nervous systems, and then use movement to be able to shift through those. So let's get started. Couple things before we get started. My dog is in here, so you may periodically see her get up and walk out, or you might see a little head pop up. So if you do, just don't be too surprised. Second thing is, anything I say today is truly just a suggestion. Go with what feels best in your body, even if it's something totally different than what I'm suggesting or offering. Along those lines, definitely if you feel pain, if you feel discomfort, ease back, find something different, find a different variation or option that maybe doesn't cause pain. And if any of these movements actually trigger or activate you, definitely ease back. Maybe fast forward to the next one or go back to one that really worked to help settle you down before. This is really about learning how to use movements to change through your emotional states. So I'm going to go over 5 different movements that we can do. They are non-traditional movements, meaning they're not like yoga. They're not necessarily like Tai Chi or Qigong. They're more playful movements oftentimes. And so if something really triggers or activates you, feel free to skip it, do something else, and just know that movement like that doesn't work very well for you. And then finally, the last thing is I don't mirror, which means I'm going to be opposite of you. If I demo or if I say a right or a left, then I'm going to be opposite of you as we go through this. So let's get going. Today's movements can be done standing, can be done seated, can be done on the floor. I'm going to demo them both standing and in a chair. That way you can use them or you can see what they're like in both positions, but feel free, you can even do some of these lying on the floor if that's more comfortable for you. So the first one, bringing your feet to whatever a comfortable distance is. If you're standing up, maybe explore what a comfortable distance is. So maybe you're not quite sure, so notice. For me, a little bit wider apart feels more stable. If you're seated, bringing your sitting bones down to the chair, pull any fleshy bits out. Really kind of shift your hips a little bit so you can press your sitting bones down into the ground, feet pressing down into the mat or to the ground. And then whatever variation you're doing, just start to get a gentle sway in your body, side to side. If you're seated, keep the sitting bones pressing, maybe checking in with your shoulders, see if you can relax your shoulders down. How big of a sway is really dependent on how it feels in your body. You're standing, maybe swaying side to side. And then just starting to explore. What does it feel like to sway side to side versus front to back? So maybe start adding in the front to back. For me, front to back creates a lot of anxiety. That is one that does not feel comfortable in my system. So that one I don't enjoy doing. So just maybe explore. Maybe you're not sure. And so maybe this is a good chance for you in a relatively safe way to explore what does that feel like to not feel good in your body. So for me, my whole body just kind of settles down when I go side to side. When I go front to back, I start to clench my shoulders up. That's a pretty good indication that something's creating some anxiety. My breath starts to come faster. I just don't feel comfortable in it. So maybe exploring even simple movements like side to side. How do they feel for you? Maybe it doesn't cause any anxiety. Totally great. Maybe if you want to add, try a circle in. See what it feels like to circle one direction. And maybe try circling the other direction. Nice. So then as you're doing this movement, the side-to-side movement is something that's very simple and yet can be very profound. I do this anytime I'm agitated, anytime I'm thinking, just getting a gentle sway in the body. Once again, front to back, side to side, maybe circles, can actually help to settle the nervous system down. And then along with that, maybe just start bringing your fingers and tapping to your chest, your shoulders. Just start tapping around. See what that feels like. Bringing some awareness to the sensations, both under your fingers and as well as where you're tapping. I like to tap right around my eye sockets. That one tends to feel really good and help me settle down. So maybe explore playing with the differences in how fast you go. Maybe going faster versus slower. And keep the sway going if that feels good. If tapping doesn't feel good or you want to explore something else, maybe try brushing. Brushing off your skin. Brushing off. Notice what that feels like. These are great for the tapping and the brushing are great for anxiety. They're great for depression. If you're feeling like you're having a hard time getting moving, they're fantastic for reorienting. So if you're someone that tends to kind of get trapped in maybe a trauma flashback or feeling stuck somewhere, this can really help to bring you back to your body. Maybe listening if you want to get tapping with the palms to the sound of what it's like to tap with the palms. Maybe brushing. And then just exploring, what does it feel like? Maybe notice if you're brushing, how much force are you putting in with the brushing? And maybe explore, noticing you're in control of the activation. Maybe a lighter touch feels more soothing, whereas a more forceful brush feels like you're getting rid of something. That's how it feels in my body. So exploring, maybe bringing your awareness to the sound. Maybe that sound is triggering, so come back to the tapping. All the while noticing, does this gentle sway side to side or front to back? How does that feel? Maybe picking your toes up, wiggling your toes. There's a great one that I use a lot when I'm trying to wake up. So if I'm feeling really tired, like I'm not very motivated, just starting to notice then maybe what does it feel like under where your hands are touching? My body's starting to tingle, starting to wake up. So just exploring, be curious, moving through some of these. See if there are ones that actually really can settle you down, ones that can wake you up, get you feeling more in your body. For me, I'm going to take my glasses off really quickly to do this. Tapping around my eyes can help to refocus my brain. So maybe trying tapping around your eyes, tapping on your face. Once again, keeping that sway going side to side. And as you're doing this, start exploring what's happening inside your body. Maybe notice what your heart rate is doing, what your breath is doing. Maybe checking in with your shoulders. Do your shoulders feel hunched up by your ears, or are they a little more relaxed? Are you a little more aware of the dimensions and the sides to your body? be a little more awake, a little less anxious. Whatever it is totally great. And then doing this for maybe another 5 counts, and then we'll move on. So exploring any last things that feel good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo, brush it away and then come back to the center. Shake it out. Shake out your arms, shake out your legs, get some wiggle, get some jiggle. Studies have been done that show that the more you can shake things out and you can release them, it actually really does release tension. Whew. So then come back, feet square, and then just start to check in. Notice what's coming up for you. Once again, noticing maybe do you like that sway? I'm going to frequently do that sway just because that settles my nervous system down. But notice, does stillness feel better to you? Maybe exploring, checking in. What's coming up inside your body right now? Maybe you have a little anxiety about what else we're going to do. Totally great. Beautiful, but then just exploring. So after the movement, exploring, what are you feeling right now? And if feeling is too uncomfortable, totally great. Like checking in with your feelings can be very challenging for folks. So maybe just look around your room, reorient, look around the space and notice what things are in here with you. Are there any particular colors that draw your attention? Notice my body just has naturally gone back to the sway. Beautiful. And then shake it out. All right. So the next movement that we're going to do, I like to call magic melting ice cream or whatever frozen dessert you like to eat. So this is a movement that is really great for centering. It's really great for reorienting, meaning if you're kind of having a hard time, feeling really anxious, feeling lots of anxiety. This is also a great one for melting away tension and stress. So seeing if you can let go of things. I like this one as well when I'm only mildly anxious, because when I'm really anxious, I need something that has more movement. But if you're just kind of mildly anxious, this might help. Or this might feel really good if you have a lot of anxiety. A lot of times, if you're feeling really depressed or you lack motivation to do things, this one might be a little more challenging. So maybe starting seated with this one and see if that can help you to start kind of maybe shift that energy. It's really just about making little movements until you feel like you can get up and be more engaged in your body. So the way this one starts, shake your arms out. Arms reaching out wide, coming into a big circle like you're a bowl sitting out on the counter. And then I like to cue, imagine that your ice cream or whatever your favorite frozen dessert is. So imagining that you have this ice cream or treat sitting inside your bowl, but it's left out on the counter. So then what happens when ice cream's left out on the counter? It melts down. So imagine melting down, making it as ooey and as gooey as you can. And as you do, let any tension, stress, anything release. Now feel free to go down only as far as you want. Maybe your hands going down with a little bend in your knees feels good. Maybe a little bit lower. Maybe you want to come all the way down to the ground. And when you come down to the ground, here's the magic part of this move. Pressing into your feet, tailbone down, rolling up by your back. So try and stack one spinal bone or one vertebrae on top of the other, one at a time. Lengthening up through the spine and then rolling your shoulders up and down and back. Palms come to stand straight forward. So it's this lengthening. The magic part is the regrowing. So then doing it again, arms coming out wide into your bowl of ice cream or whatever frozen dessert you want. And when you're ready, imagine it gets left out on the counter. So it's ooey and gooey. You're this ice cream or this frozen deliciousness melting down, only going as low as you want, all the way to the ground if you want, or up a little bit higher. And then when you're ready, tailbone rounding down to the ground, roll your back up. Work to stack one vertebrae on top of the other, lengthening up through your spinal muscles. Shoulders rolling up and down and back, maybe shaking your neck, palms come to stand, face forward. Beautiful. Check in. Notice what's coming up for you. Notice what you're feeling as we do this again. Arms coming out wide. So imagine you're your bowl of frozen deliciousness. You're left out on the counter. How's that going to feel? Melting away anything that isn't serving you. Going down as low as you want. Make it as ooey and gooey. And then when you're ready, tailbone rounding down, back rolling up. See if you can stack one spinal bone at a time. So moving super slowly. The magic part is we get to regrow, rebuild, lengthening up, shoulders rolling up and down and back, palms come to stand, face forward. Beautiful. Check in. Maybe notice what's coming up for you. I'm starting to feel a little bit of some openness, but my heart's beating a little bit faster. Not in an anxiety sort of way, but in a, I'm starting to move. I'm grooving into this. This one makes me laugh. I like this one. It feels good in my body. So arms coming out wide. But if it doesn't feel good to you, totally fine. Just know this one isn't for you. When you're ready, imagine that you're that frozen deliciousness melting down, ooey and gooey. Letting go of maybe any tension that you don't need, tension in your neck. And then when you're ready, tailbone coming down, rounding down, stacking one vertebrae on top of the other, lengthening up, shoulders rolling up and down and back, palms come to stand, face forward. Beautiful. So flowing through this maybe 2 more times, checking it out. My dog wanted to come be a little bit closer to join us. Arms coming out wide. And then you're left out on the counter. You're this yummy deliciousness. And then let it melt away. So you can melt faster if you want to get a little more action, a little more energy out, or slower if slower feels better to you. Maybe you don't know, so explore, noticing what it feels like. And then coming however far down that you want, regrounding down. So press into your feet, tailbone down, rounding the back up. Try lifting up with your back muscles. See if you can lengthen your spine, one muscle at a time, one bone at a time. Shoulders rolling up and down and back, palms come to stand, face forward. Beautiful. Last one, so feel free to make this however big or not big you want. Arms coming out into your circle, into your bowl. Imagine you're your whatever frozen delicious treat you want to be. And then ooey gooey melt down. Maybe you're on a hot summer day, so let it melt a little bit faster. Maybe you like the slower melting. And then whatever variation you want to come down to. When you're ready, tailbone coming down to the ground. If you want to move with the breath on the inhale, rolling up, stacking one spinal bone, pressing into the feet, lengthening up through the torso. Shoulders roll up and down and back. Palms come to stand, face forward. Check in. Closing your eyes if that's comfortable. If that's not comfortable, no worries. Keeping your eyes open, maybe looking down at the ground. Notice what's happening in your body right now. My heart is beating a little bit faster, but it's kind of a playful, joyful type of beating, not anxiety. So starting to notice maybe are there different emotional states that come with some of the physical manifestations like heartbeat. Maybe that was very uncomfortable for you. Maybe you're not sure how that felt. Totally fine, whatever it is. Getting that side to side sway, if that helps to look at these emotions, or standing in stillness. Beautiful. And then whatever it is, blinking your eyes open, shake out your arms, shake out your torso, shake out your legs. Once again, getting as much wiggle and jiggle as you can, just to Whew, release that tension. All right, so this next one, this next move, I like to call Rollerskating Octopus. And it is pretty much just what it sounds like. We're gonna pretend like we are an octopus on roller skates. And roller skates are pretty much just shoes with wheels on them. And octopuses have 8 legs. So starting to imagine, what would it be like if you were an octopus on roller skates? So you have 4 more limbs. How would it be if they all had roller skates on them? So this is a movement that is great for discharging energy. I like to do this a lot when I have anxiety, when I'm looking to increase my energy. My dog doesn't like that one as much. And then when you're ready, take a breath, coming back to the side shifting. Notice, checking in, what's coming up for you? This one can be very activating, so notice if it's triggering, or notice if it's kind of a fun and playful type of energy, the type of energy that can help get you moving to be motivated when you don't want to be. And maybe you don't know. Don't worry, no worries. We've got more time to do it. So then when you're ready, coming back to Rollerskating Octopus. What would it be like if you had 8 limbs and they all had roller skates on them? Still moving around. So it's very similar in the chair, making it as big as you want. Just keep the abdominal muscles drawing in so that you don't round or sink into the belly. You want to keep the muscles active. And then when you're ready, come back to some shifting side to side. Or stillness, if that feels better for you. Especially after movement, my body likes to do some gentle movement to transition to stillness. So notice what's coming up for you. Like I said, this can be very activating. Maybe you're feeling a little out of breath. I am. This one also makes me laugh. So if you feel like you look silly, if it's challenging for you because you feel like you look silly, you probably do, but that's okay. Everybody does who does this. So when you're ready, if you want to, coming back into a Rollerskating Octopus. So just completely undisciplined movement, letting your body do whatever it wants, like you are an octopus on roller skates. Shifting it out, maybe your arms go wide, maybe you want to try and bring your arms together, arms and legs together. And then when you're ready, whoo, shifting it out side to side, front to back. If you're standing, maybe explore. Do your legs want to be in a different position now? My heart is definitely beating. Like I said, this is a very activating one. But notice maybe how much energy you have now. Do you maybe feel a little more awake? Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't feel good. For some people, undisciplined movement like this can be very challenging, can be very uncomfortable. So if it's creating anxiety for you, totally fine. I'm going to offer it 2 more times. So feel free to follow along with me, to modify it, to do whatever it is that works for your body. Skip it completely. Maybe sit and take a break. So when you're ready, coming into Rollerskating Octopus. So how would it be just to have this roller skates on your hands and your feet and not be able to have the disciplined movement like what we normally do? Maybe you want to move around your space. Whoo! And then coming back to that shifting side to side. So maybe bring some awareness to what sensations are you feeling in your legs. My legs are feeling tingly. My feet are feeling tingly because they're rubbing across my carpet. So maybe notice what sensations you have. Definitely my legs feel like they're waking up. They're that tingly sensation. My heart is beating. I'm a little out of breath if you can't tell. But check in, notice what's coming up for you. And not in a judgment sort of way, but in an understanding how this impacts your body and how maybe your emotional state can change by doing this. And then one more time, last one, roller skating octopus, making it as big as you want. Once again, if you're really feeling anxious or agitated, do it bigger or faster. You get to add as much activation as you want. Maybe if you're tired, come to a slower roller skating octopus. Beautiful, and then doing it for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! Shake it out. Bring your legs to whatever comfortable distance. Arms down to the side. Shake it out. Get some wiggle, get some jiggle. Checking in. Notice what's coming up for you. Maybe taking a couple minutes to breathe, to slow your heart rate down. Maybe that didn't feel good, so if you felt good with the tapping or the brushing, try coming back to that. Maybe that felt great and you're feeling super energized. Get curious, explore what's coming up for you. And if it doesn't feel good, totally fine. Do what does feel best in your body right now. Amazing. So shake out your arms, shake out your legs, letting it go. Okay, so the next move that we're gonna do, I like to call wind dancer. So you know those big air tunnel people that they have like at car dealerships or fairgrounds that are literally just a tunnel of a person with kind of some arms and some hair that usually is all wonky crazy, and they just kind of flop in the wind? Well, that's what we're gonna do. So bringing your feet to a comfortable, sturdy distance for you. This one does work better standing up. You can do it seated and I'll demo it, but it does work better standing up. So finding whatever balance you want in your feet, whatever that comfortable distance is, maybe a slight bend in your knees. Start that shifting out side to side. And what this one does, or is really good for, is it's really good for grounding down because we want to keep our feet really pressing into the mat. It's great for finding weightlessness, for centering, for orienting. And it's fun. This one tends to make people laugh, kind of like the last one that we did. So it can actually shift you into a more homeostatic or neutral, regulated nervous system state. So if you're seated, the biggest difference is you have to really keep your abdominal muscles in because this can strain into your low back if you tend to sink down too much. So keeping the press of the sitting bones down, press of the feet down. Just start to imagine bringing your arms out to the side. What would it be like if you were one of those wind tunnel dancers? Or wind tunnel dancers. So if you're standing, start to make whatever movements. So it's finding this action of pressing the feet or pressing the sitting bones down into the ground, really finding something sturdy, and then finding some weightlessness in the upper body. I always tell people if you feel like you look like you're silly or you look silly, then you're doing it correctly. If you feel awkward, definitely you're doing it correctly. And so then you get to make as big of a movement as you want. It's about keeping the feet grounding down. So finding that strength in the legs, maybe a little wiggle, flipping around like someone's turned your air switch on and you're one of those wind dancers. Arms can go in different directions or maybe the same direction. Rounding out, maybe you want to flip backwards. Maybe you have some shoulder issues, so keeping your arms down, only going as high as feels good with your arms. And then doing this for about 5, 4, finding any more movements that feel good. We're going to do this a couple more times, so no worries. 2, 1, and then as dramatically as you want, imagine that someone turns the air off, your air dancer or your wind dancer. Check in. Notice what's happening for you. My heart is beating faster. These are definitely activating ones, or can be, especially with how full force I go into them. but it creates this sense of joy for me. So it's not a heartbeat going fast that's panic, it's an energizing. So maybe explore what's coming up for you. Maybe your body feels tingly. Maybe you feel a little more awake. Maybe it's very uncomfortable. Totally fine. And then if you want to do it again, starting to find that press of whatever you're grounding down into your base. So sitting bones or your feet, and then just start letting your body be like someone flipped the air on for one of those air dancers, and just letting your upper body move like it was floating with the wind. But keep that engagement in your feet, in your sitting bones if you're seated, so that you can find this lift in the torso to find the weightlessness. Arms maybe going one direction and then another, making this movement as big or as not big as you want. Maybe that doesn't feel good, so a more smaller movement is settling to your nervous system. Maybe you don't know, so explore between the two. If you haven't noticed, I have lots of energy, so I usually like the bigger movements. Or this is when I do a lot, when I like to get rid of energy, so that might have something to do with why I like the bigger movements. If it feels good, laugh. This is silly. Laughing can release tension. Laughing is a great way to release tension, especially because we're doing something that looks silly, that feels silly. And then doing this one for another 5 more counts. So making any movements that you want, but keep your feet pressing into the ground. Maybe wiggling your toes, finding what sensations you feel. 4, 3, keeping the base firm, the upper body lifted like it's weight. 2, 1, as dramatically as you want. Arms coming down by your side, maybe shaking it out, readjusting, checking in. Once again, notice what's coming up. It's about exploring how these movements impact you and your body. Noticing if that feels comfortable for you, how your emotional state is right now. Not judging it, not trying to change it, unless it's really, really, really uncomfortable, in which case, find something else. If that really triggered you, find something else to do. Try any of the other movements or fast forward to the next one, see if that helps. And if you want to do this one with me one more time, I'm gonna do it one more time. So getting ready, finding your base, maybe a little bend in the knees if you're standing. See if that can help you to turn your legs on. So it's finding this stability and support from the ground. And then the weightlessness, someone flips the air on, you become that wind dancer. So then it's balancing the groundedness with finding some lift. And maybe explore as you do this. Are there areas in your body, or can you move ways you didn't know that you could? Just kind of letting your body do what it wants to do, letting it flow, but keeping that connection to the ground. So maybe wiggling your toes, maybe bending your legs. Notice how would you bend your legs? Can you press into the ground a little bit more? If you're seated, keeping the press of the sitting bones, but see if your feet can help you to find some lift, some engagement. Checking in, rounding out. Maybe just letting your body go, not thinking, just letting it move. See how that feels. That can create a lot of anxiety for people, so totally fine if that's not comfortable. So doing this for a count of 5. And this is our last one, so feel free to make it whatever you want it to be. 3, 2, 1. Arms coming down to the side as dramatically as you want. Come back to the sway. Come back to some stillness. And check in. Maybe now, how are you feeling knowing that we're done with that one? How did that work for you? Just as a little side note, I teach a gentle yoga class to a lot of older people, and I do that movement with them, and I can't tell you how much they love that movement. I've had some of these little older women come up to me and say, "Oh, I'm going to do that with my grandkids. They'll love that one. That's so fun." So if that felt really good to you and that surprises you, totally that's normal. If that didn't feel good to you, totally fine. Free movement can be very uncomfortable for people. Maybe notice, are you a little more aware of your body? Maybe checking in and notice, what age does your body feel? A lot of times when we have trauma, especially if we revert to some childhood trauma, we feel a younger age. So maybe, what age do you feel? That's a hard one to answer sometimes. So just exploring, noticing what's coming up for you. Beautiful. And then whatever it is, shaking out your arms, shaking out your legs, letting it go. Letting go of whatever's coming up for you. Beautiful. All right, so coming to our fifth and final movement of this masterclass. This one I've saved for last because this one can be very activating. This is a movement that is designed to increase energy. So for some folks, it might be too much. And so if this is very activating or triggering for you, totally fine. Know that this one is not for you. What this movement can do, and I call it beating heart. And what this series of movements can do is actually increase your energy. So if you're in one of those nervous system states where you don't want to do anything, you're feeling depressed, you're having a hard time finding energy to do anything, this can actually help to tap into some energy to get you moving. You're probably not going to start out super big, and that's okay. The other thing this can do is this can release anxiety energy. So if you're feeling super anxious, you just can't settle down, this can actually help to settle that down as well, because you're going to discharge a whole bunch of energy doing this. So let's get going. So this one, like I said, I call it beating heart. And one of the things that is very challenging for most of us when we're in feeling depression or lack of motivation is finding that energy to do something different. And a lot of times meditation and people talk about tapping into your breath, tapping into the energy of your breath, because it's always flowing. And that's true. That's absolutely true. And that doesn't always work. It doesn't always work for me. So tapping into the energy of the heart changed things for me. Every single one of us who's involved in this video, either watching it, doing it, or teaching it, we have a heartbeat right now. So that means our heart is moving, and our heart is constantly moving. And so we can tap into the energy of that moving heart in order to either increase our energy or to discharge it. So thinking about the beating heart, on average, the heart beats anywhere between 60 to 100 beats per minute is normal-ish. There's wide variety, and so everybody is different, but on average, 60 to 100 beats per minute. So thinking about how much your muscle is contracting 60 times, we'll even go 60 times in a minute. That's a lot of energy that's being produced in the body. So we're going to try and tap into that. So if you're standing, bring your feet to wherever you can find a really firm, sturdy, supported base. If you're seated, same thing, really find that pressing down into the sitting bones. And then what we're going to do is just bring your arms out. Imagine that you're filling up your heart, your blood, your heart vessel with blood. And then as you exhale, bring the arms down like it's contracting. And then inhale, arms can come out as wide as you want. And then exhale, contracting. If working with the breath doesn't work for you, totally fine. And I always recommend visualizing your heart. So whether you want it to be like the structural, anatomical heart, or maybe you want it to be like one of those cartoon hearts that comes out. Inhale, arms coming out. So letting the vessel fill up and then bringing it down. You can add a bend in the knees if you want more activation. Arms coming up, heart filling with blood. And then exhale, contracting down. Now, that was not 60 times a minute. That wasn't even close. So we're going to pick up the pace here a little bit, and then we're going to explore moving with various different speeds of doing this and tapping into the energy of our heart. So notice how you're starting to build heat as we do this. So when you're ready, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. Imagine your heart. So tapping in. This is what our body is doing all day, every day. Feel contract. If you want more activation, maybe get the shoulders going, bending the knees, keeping the belly drawing in. Feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. So notice, maybe you're starting to build up some energy, some heat. If you're seated, you're not going to really do the bend of the knees, but you can still do the lift of the torso. Feel contract, feel contract. Now, if you want to, imagine that you're in a state of anxiety. So what happens when you're in anxiety? Your heart starts beating faster. Feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. I can't even say that fast enough. Feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. So moving at whatever speed your heart does when you're feeling anxious. Feel contract, feel contract. Notice how that's feeling in your body. And then whenever you're ready, switch and check in with the breathing lungs. Inhale, big arms coming up as high as you want. Exhale, letting them float down. So it's tapping into this dual energy that just is automatically circling through our body at any given time. I always like the bend in the knees. If you're moving with the breath, inhale, arms coming up. Arms coming down. Arms coming up. So notice how your body feels. What does that feel like as you go into the breathing? So matching with the breath. And then when you're ready, if you want, come back to the beating heart. Feel contract, feel contract. So maybe imagine that you're sleeping. So now it's a little bit slower. Feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. Maybe you want more energy, so you need to get moving. So feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. Letting the heart beat. Notice what happens in your body as you start moving this energy. Blood is pumping from the crown of the head to the tip toes, this much every second. Maybe can you tap into your own heartbeat? Feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. If that's uncomfortable on your knees, feel free to skip the knees. Just do the arms. Feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. Maybe you want to go faster. Maybe you're exercising. Feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. And then whenever you're ready, switch to the rhythm of the breath. Long inhale and long exhale. Arms coming up, once again, only as high as you want. Maybe your shoulders are a little tired, totally fine. Maybe you're a little sweaty. I definitely am. This one creates a lot of heat in my body. It creates energy and it discharges energy at the same time. So maybe explore if you're feeling like it's getting rid of energy and yet you're more energized. That can be normal, but explore what types of energy. Maybe is the nervous energy gone and instead you have like a clarity focus type energy. Maybe it's activating. Totally fine. Arms flowing with the rhythm of the breath. Flowing with the breath doesn't work for everybody, so feel free to move at whatever rhythm does work for you. But if you want, inhale, arms out. Exhale, arms down. So I'm going to offer one more round of beating heart. Feel free to skip it, to modify it, do whatever works for you. So when you're ready, and I'm going to stand and I'm going to do the knee bend because that one really helps me feel better. So when you're ready, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. Arms can come up higher if you want. That's more work, so definitely more activation the higher your arms come up. And then maybe explore faster. Feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. You're in an anxious state. Feel contract. You need to get rid of some energy. Feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. Maybe you want to go faster. Feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. Notice what's coming up for you. Visualize how hard your heart is working. We have this energy flowing through us all the time that we can tap into. We just have to find the rhythm of it. Or we just have to pretend that we're with the rhythm of it. Feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. And then doing this, maybe slowing down. So exploring the differences in what it feels like to have the energy of the different heartbeats, the heart rates. And then maybe a little faster. And then doing this for 5 more counts. So find whatever speed works for you. 3, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract, feel contract. 2, 1. Switch to the breath. Lungs filling up. Lungs breathing out. We breathe on average, most people 14 to 20 breaths a minute, depending on what you're doing. So even if you don't want to tap into the energy of the heart, we do actually have still constant energy flowing through our body. And then maybe as you exhale, if you're moving with the breath, notice, does that release any more tension? Last one. Or feel free to keep going if you want. Last one I'm going to cue. And then arms coming down by the sides. Shake out your arms. Whoo, shake out your legs. And then come back to your center. Maybe getting that sway in your body. And check in. Notice what's coming up for you. A lot of heat coming off of me. That builds a lot of energy inside of me. But I no longer feel like I'm running around in circles. Feels like I now have energy to do things. So maybe it feels similar for you. Maybe it feels totally different. Maybe you don't know. Totally fine. Taking a couple minutes to check in. Notice what's coming up for you. Maybe try stillness. For me, I start to feel kind of emotionally itchy when I'm still. Like I start to get really emotionally itchy. So adding this sway in helps me to be able to tap into what's happening inside of me. So maybe even explore, now that we've done all these movements, does stillness feel good to you? Might feel good now. Maybe some movement feels better. So maybe making circles. Beautiful. And just maybe closing your eyes if that feels comfortable. If not, maybe just looking down at the ground. Checking in with your body. Notice, are you in the same emotional state that you were in when we started? Notice, were there any movements out of those that we did that felt really good to you? And were there any that didn't feel very good? Not in a judgment sort of way, but just a exploration, a curiosity of what works for you. And whatever it is, blinking your eyes open, shake out your arms, shake out your legs, get some wiggle, get some jiggle, shake some of that tension out. Beautiful. And then bring your feet once again to whatever comfortable distance, or if you're seated, pressing your sitting bones down. And then bringing your right hand, flexing it at the center of the chest in half prayer, right elbow out. Left hand, all 4 fingers and your thumb together. And then as dramatically as you want, bring your hands together, giving yourself a high five, hands coming into prayer. Thank your amazing body for all the wonderful work that it does for you. All the energy, the emotions, the movements, everything that it does. Our bodies are amazing. If it's comfortable, bringing the base of your thumbs up to that point between your 2 eyes to your 3rd eye, and thank your amazing mind for letting you explore how movements impact your nervous system. And then one more time, hands coming back to heart center, bowing down. The light and dark in me sees and honors the light and dark in you. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Beautiful job. Beautiful job. That's very challenging. to start to navigate this journey of learning how movements impact our nervous system and how they feel for us, because sometimes we have to go into ones that make us feel uncomfortable in order to know ones that feel really good to us. I hope that video helped. So if you please like, subscribe, and share. And if you're looking to change your life, you're looking to shift, you're struggling with stress, anxiety, depression, trauma, anything like that, please reach out to me. I do offer free 15-minute consultations where we can talk about what you're looking for and how we can work together to use movement to change your life. So you can reach me through my website, angiebarrettmovement.com. You can also find me on social media. It's Angie Barrett Movement on Facebook and YouTube. And on Instagram, it's Angie Barrett Movement, all one word. So drop in the comments if you have any questions, how this felt, and I hope you have a lovely day.